Good evening. I'm hoping that my mic is coming through nice and clear. If someone in the chat could just let me know. Hey, rabbits, it's good to see you. Oh, hi, Mark. Been a few days. It's good to see you. Hmm? Eagerly awaiting my criminal university lecture. Criminal university lecture. I'm going to take that as a compliment, I think, but oh my gosh, that's a big expectation there. Um, you can't hear me? Really? Are you serious? Okay, I got it. Sounds good, and audio is great. And are you there, Mark? Oh, hi, Mark. Like, come on, Mark. Like, really? Are you pulling my leg? Okay, jokes. I panic because audio is such a serious thing. I've had so much trouble in the past with it, and it's only been since I've been working with Record to straighten it out on my channel for like the last year that it's been better, and so I panic. No, hi, Juju. Yeah, how you doing? Oh, rabbits. I kind of like that Claire and Order show thing, and I'm kind of scared though, Mark, about the university thing. I don't think I'm ready. I don't, you know. Anyway, we've got quite the update for you today. Um, Yesterday was a lot of fun with several of you from the chat. You all were there for the Murdaugh retrial evidentiary hearing, and that was long, is one word. Mm. Interesting. Could be another. Could be another, you know. Um, I was completely surprised at the end. And so I'm not going to tell you how it ended in case some of you haven't seen it. It is on the channel. Go check it out. I'll be timestamping it. I'm sorry I haven't got to that yet today. I did take the day off to rest my voice and just did other things. Because yesterday was quite long. Although I didn't have to talk the whole time. And very interesting. But I really wanted to come on tonight to do Boone, Sarah Boone, because man, there's some stuff. We thought we had heard all we could possibly hear from Sarah Boone, like what she's on her 7th attorney in her 16th continuance. Yeah, you heard me right. 16th. And last time we spoke, we talked about the continuance being accepted, and there was a pretrial hearing that was basically canceled, and all they did was settle when the next pretrial hearing would be and when the next trial date would be settled. And that was May 3rd is going to be the pretrial hearing. And by then, they need to have all their discovery done and all of their motions in, because only stuff related to the trial is allowed to happen after that. And then the trial is for May 13th. In the meantime, because the trial is coming up, I've done a little more digging, and I finally have a source to the original records from the source in Orlando, Florida, the 19th district, and the courthouse there, Orange County Courthouse. So you guys can actually go in there and put in the name, and you can get the original complaint. You can get the motions. You can get all the continuances. You can get all the crazy stuff like the letters, and stuff. You can get copies of it to look at to refresh yourselves if you like. And in that review, a couple of things became much more clear to me about why perhaps, I've always wrestled with why prosecutors went for murder too instead of manslaughter. And then I read the complaint and rewatched her interview. And something struck me. The fact that there were 2 videos. And I don't, we always gloss over that. There was the first one that was like almost 3 minutes long. But then there was a second one that was only like 22 or 25 seconds. I don't remember the exact number, but it was 20 something. And in that one, The suitcase was moved in a different position, and it was in a position that he couldn't get out of. And unfortunately for Sarah Boone, that was the second video she took. Because, your phone timestamps everything. And unfortunately for Sarah Boone, based on the complaint that I read, she changed her story a little too often. And the last two lines, if you read anything, is what you need to read in the complaint as to why they went forward with murder. Like, hey, Mousy, nice to see you. Excuse me, you're going to hear some clinking and some mouth noises because I'm still not all there, and I do need to keep drinking something or I'm going to start coughing terribly. And I think you would rather hear me swallow than cough in your ear or keep muting, Second degree, I believe, murder instead of manslaughter. Because all along she said they were just drinking and playing a game, and she just accidentally left him in the suitcase. She just forgot about him. But they went with murder, not manslaughter. Yeah, I think you need to read the complaint, Juju. And I mean, opinions value. She may be overcharged, but I've got more than that. Okay. Yes, Rabbits, do you like the drinking edition with the ice clinking of the Claire and Order ASMR drinking edition? I'm really liking that Claire and Order stuff. I might have to put that on a sticker for merch. Rabbits, you're pretty talented. Send me some art. I've got someone working with me to do some merch, and the first thing I want to do are some stickers. So yeah, I think that Claire and Order just might be a winner there. Hi, Karen. Thanks for joining us. Hey, Crazy Cats. I just see you joined us too. I'm sorry. Yeah, Mousy, I see you commented a second video. Yes, I forgot all about that 20-second video where the suitcase was, changed. And he couldn't have got out. Mark has a question here. Let's put this up before I continue on. How would you feel if you were a prosecutor that tried for too harsh a charge and weren't able to give enough evidence and the defendant got off scot-free? I would feel defeated. I would feel like I was my own worst enemy. And I'm wondering, with them, I mean, Juju and I in particular have gone back and forth about this on whether or not she's actually overcharged and whether or not it's in the prosecution's best interest to get this case under their belt. They might be setting themselves up for failure here. But then I read the complaint again, and I can understand that they really do think she did it. And maybe they don't want to undercharge her, and maybe they thought she'd make a deal, and that would have been the deal, Mark. But she didn't, And another thing that I think often is that maybe the reason she's gone through so many attorneys is just she won't deal, okay? And that manslaughter was an option. And she could have been charged, and she probably would have been well on the way to out with the time she served already, We have never, ever fought. No, we do not fight about cases, do we? Because yes, one thing we do agree is that she was a drunk idiot at the time. Yes, but Mark, that's a very good question. I mean, as a prosecutor, I would think it's an overreach, and I think I might be setting myself up for a little bit of failure there. But then again, it might have been a strategic thing to try to get her with deal, and now they're stuck with it. And we'll see. We'll see if before the pretrial, if there's a motion to actually reduce the charges. We'll see. Okay. Well, I don't know. I mean, I often wear different hats. Like I try to come at it from the defense. Like, what would I do if I was the defense attorney? Or what would I do if I was the prosecutor? I admire the judges so much in so many of the cases. I mean, the one yesterday, Judge Toll, Hands down, I thought Judge Almeida was one of my favorites, and the judge from Johnny Depp. I kind of liked her style, but Judge Almeida, I really liked her. Charlene Almeida, I really did, and uh, I really, I really did get fascinated by Judge Toll. Like she was no nonsense. She was like the school marm with the ruler in from way back, and she was just gonna like, you better be sitting up straight, or I will whack you straight. Like she was just, she would be like, yeah, she would be like your nan. She just gave you that look, and you knew you were doing something wrong. If she had a tone, oh, mm. Yeah, Juju, it's hard because through most of her interrogation, Sarah Boone insisted they weren't drunk. It was one bottle of wine. They were not drunk. They are not alcoholics. It wasn't anything crazy like that. And then as soon as she knew they had those videos, she was like, I was drunk out of my mind. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but you know what I mean. Change up of the story, totally. Wouldn't her defense attorney already filed for lower charges? They were the case thought. I think a defense attorney can speak with the prosecutor about a deal, but I don't think they can file for lower charges. I think that all comes from the prosecution. I mean, I've never seen a defense, they may start a discussion, but there's never been a motion, you know. Her whole interrogation annihilated most of her defenses. Yes, Juju, I'm glad yeah, I'm glad you've come to that because it's those interrogations, that interview that really did it for me. Because you can see the wheels turning. You can see the story changing with the more information she got. You can just like watch her like go through it. You know, I think they could. Remember in the last time that we spoke, we talked about them using alcoholic blackouts in the defense. They've got an expert witness to speak about it, and I'm trying to. I can't find out like who they're going to be speaking of, George or Sarah. Um, I don't know because she's also going with battered woman. Okay, but let's move on a little bit into more of the update. I mean, most of this is all we could still. We're going to come back and talk to the rest about the rest of it. I'm not going to ignore any of the questions. Um, I don't think that Mousy. You say so. Why should Sarah Boone not be punished? There's no reason Sarah Boone should not be punished. And she is starting her punishment already. She's been in jail for almost 4 years. Hi, Cass. It's good to see you, boo. I hope you're feeling better. I do. And Shill, I hope you're feeling better too. I know you weren't feeling well earlier today, you know. Yes, rabbits blaming alcohol. That's lame. I can hear the DV cases from that. I'm sorry, babe. It wasn't me. I was drunk. It won't happen again, I promise. Sigh. Exactly. And unfortunately, in Florida, if you willingly drink alcohol or take drugs, it's not a defense for any of your actions, especially in a criminal case. There you go. So it's not going to help. It's not, unless she proves that she's got an illness in it. But yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Sarah Boone doesn't feel she should be punished. You're right, Mousy. She does have a little bit of entitlement. And on that note, I would like to tell you that there is another YouTube channel. And I have it linked below in the description. I can't remember the name. It's something T. I can't, for the life of me right now, I cannot recall it. But they were actually able to get the prison records and in regards to her behavior. The last time we did the Courtney Clenny update, I was telling you about some of her behind the scenes attitude and things that were happening and some of the events and things she's been charged. She actually gets, demerits and stuff in prison for her bad attitude. Listen, Sarah Boone also, one of the updates involves the fact that, first of all, we have the new dates that I told you about. May 3rd, okay, that's our new pretrial hearing. May 13th, that's our new trial date, okay, this year, okay. Her attorney, her new attorney, number 7, okay, Winston Hobson, actually filed a continuance, okay, filed a request for continuance, got the approval of the prosecutor's office, knew the judge was going to approve it, so also put in there a motion not to appear. In other words, since we know this is going to go through and we're not going to settle any business at our pretrial hearing, the client and I are not going to appear. Okay, which is all well and done. It got approved, the motion came up, the judge approved the continuance, yada yada, everything was just fine. Prior to that, I need to tell you that we're not going to hear from lovely Judge Wooten anymore. The judge that has put up with Sarah for 4 years has transferred to juvenile court. It's common in Florida, from what I hear from other channels, other legal channels that spoke on it, that a lot of the judges in Florida do move around from section to section, so to speak. And there's all these specialties. You can go to traffic court, or you can go to family court, you can go to criminal or civil. He's going to he's going to juvenile. So he transferred over, and she has a new lawyer. I mean, a new judge. I mean, we already know she has the new lawyer, Winston Hobson. But now she has a new judge from the 9th District in Orlando, California, who is Michael Kraynick. Okay. And the reason I know that name is because not only did she get a new lawyer, well, she has a new judge, and she also wrote a new letter. Yeah. Not only a new lawyer and a new judge and a new trial date. Yeah, Sarah's not happy. Sarah wrote a new letter. She needed to welcome the new judge with the bullshit. Let me just put it that way. I you know, I was perplexed on how to actually break that to you guys, But yeah, I figure she was just like, hey, let me just break you in good, Judge. Like, here's your first letter. Okay. And on that, let's get to that so that we then can actually discuss what's in this letter, because it's rich. It's totally rich. So it's not that long. I'm going to read it quick. It's to George Michael Kraynick, and it's on January 19th. Okay. Now remember that date. That's only a week ago. That's very important. Okay. It's 10 days. 10 days ago. All right. Okay. All right. And the judge put it right in. Said, Honorable Judge Kraynick, finally, a new judge. It's strange how the Lord works, as if I was in the process of trying to disqualify Wooten after being my judge for over 4 years, and me still incarcerated with nothing to show other than 7 different attorneys, not by choice, news clips of me walking in and out of the courtroom, and everything relative to my case permitted to be slathered on the global internet, in which I have not seen myself. I felt he was the ticket holder to my overly hyped, illicitly distributed, misconstrued criminal case. And great reason. I am still here again, ongoing 4 years and 7 attorneys later, not by choice. See my letter dated 6/29/23 on the clerk's website. While still waiting to properly elucidate the court, public, and world, and after whatever the dysfunction was in the attendance part of my most recent pretrial conference status hearing, which I am trying to ensure my automatic attendance futuristically, please see my draft motion included. I am still trying to have my attorney submit on my behalf. I wanted to bring to your judicial attention the following information so you and the world are aware it is not I who am ever delaying the trial, as Wooten inappropriately accused me of during past hearing. especially now you have mandated a trial date to be held in May with no further continuances, leaving less than 4 months to put together a complete what should and could have been done already. What happened in all the 4 years prior? Please see all my correspondence online. To date, Winston E. Hobson has been my court-appointed attorney for 133 days and counting. To date, Mr. Hobson has only met with me once, one time, for a total of 3 hours on November 7th of 2023. To date, no phone calls have been received by Mr. Hobson, as his phone does not work properly for further immediate much-needed communication to be made between client and attorney. To date, I have mailed 5 letters to Mr. Hobson, trying to communicate my urgent need to speak to him. To date, I have sent 1 letter to the investigator in my case to contact Hobson to contact me and see if he can assist in correcting the phone problem. Also, to inquire when anyone is coming. To date, I feel I am not being included or heard or cared about in my case. Again, from the continued miscommunication again with Mr. Hobson, and time-consuming undiscussed entries are being made on my behalf. The continuance I did not know about, the waiver of appearance I did not know about, along with other documents, and I am never sent copies of anything filed, so I know. I keep trying to tell him about with no response, furthering the already massive dysfunction in my 4-year case. I was hoping in the pre-trial conference status hearing on Tuesday, 1/16/24, yes, that was 3 days prior to this letter, I could at least play catch up in the courtroom. For 5 minutes, so many of my attorneys had done prior, including Mr. Hobson, in the one court date I've had for a continuance in October 30th, to express and emphasize the need for him to communicate and schedule a second very overdue meeting. I still have not even heard from Mr. Hobson about our missed pretrial conference hearing. What's the status? To date, 1 out of 133 days and counting, attorney and client have met. To date, 3 out of now 3,192 hours, attorney and client have discussed partial general case information. To date, I have still not seen my discovery. Your Honor, when is the next status hearing, please? Especially since I were not at the last hearing, and especially since I am trying to communicate with my attorney in more than one way to fully maximize and utilize the minute amount of time allotted before trial, my fair, appropriate, lawful trial. I am still wondering why, though I've had to wait for 4 years for something to finally happen in my case. Ask Judge Wooten. I wonder also, was I the oldest case on his docket? Either way, I'm still here, waiting patiently and very excited to get this highly anticipated show on the road. I await your overdue and very needed judicial direction, supervision, and intervention. Thank you in advance, Judge Kraynick. Welcome. Sincerely, Sarah Boone. And then she filed a motion on her behalf, but we'll get to that in a second. Because first, there are things to say. Number one, in the link I left you below, there is a video. And in that video, you're going to see the prison records of visits that Sarah had from November to January. And she says she only met with her attorney in November. And yet she had a video call on January 3rd with William Hobson. She's had a visit from her ex-husband and child, and she's had visits of friends. They're all on there. Okay. So I ask you, like, how did they not talk on January 3rd about the continuance that was going to happen on January 16th? No, I think maybe she just doesn't understand her attorney when he says, we're going to do this, this, and this. And if this doesn't happen, then we're going to do this. And so perhaps because, if they did get approval for the new investigator, she got a new investigator, and they've got that paid for. They got the expert. Okay. They put that through. Okay. So all of this is in play, but because he didn't have anything else to actually discuss with the judge, he needed more time for discovery. He doesn't want to have a pre-trial conference. He wants to move the trial, okay, because he needs more time. And I can't imagine that he has not been saying that in October and in November and even on January 3rd when he spoke with her, you know? Actually, rabbits, the penmanship, that's whoop, no, not that question. I'm sorry. I'm pulled up the wrong one. Like my thing is like so out of order here. But Rabbits is asking about her penmanship, her calligraphy. It is the same. I did look at some of the other ones, and I can go back later and show you some. But if you use that link that I put below, and you you put her name in, and you put it in under criminal felony, okay, so that it finds the right case, and it won't be the closed case. It'll be the one from 2020. There's another Sarah Boone on file in Florida. Don't go to that one. Okay. And you'll be able to pull up every single letter. They're all for the public now. They turned them all green. Everything there is there green. You're going to get the whole enchilada. Hey V, nice to see you. Hey Mippet, it's good to see you too. I'm sorry if I missed anybody coming in. Hey Sean, it's good to see you too. Well, I was reading, so I didn't see people coming in. So, but it is good. Yeah. Thanks, Mip. I always forget that. I always forget that banner. Her handwriting is very pleasant to look at. It's very difficult to read. I'll tell you that, Juju. Because like her letters, they're not normal. I'm sorry, Fish Nerd. Hi. Yeah, how are you? I didn't see your reminder. I didn't see anybody's reminder, until the end down there with my bit. I think we would too. Mark has a good comment in here. Hold on one second. Hey Beck, how are you? I think we would understand more about delays if we actually knew the work that lawyers and judges do behind the scenes. I mean, in some of us, if you go through the cases, and that's why I want to give you the link to the file itself, because you can see the work there. You can see the back and forth and what they need to do and what they talk about with the judge in the stuff that has to go back and forth. But anyway, he needs to have his discovery, which means all of the evidentiary questions that he has for the prosecution about the evidence, any motions he wants to put forward for the judge or for prosecution, any complaints that they have about information, things they didn't receive, things they need more time on. They need to, whether or not they're going to make a statement of alibi, which they cannot because she was there and she admitted. So I doubt that anything like that is going to happen. But all of those kinds of motions that get made, they all have to be all done and taken care of before May 3rd. That's the pre-trial. Once you get to that pre-trial conference, like that's when you button everything up. And anything that happens after that is supposed to be trial related, So if discovery is done, if he's gotten a good look at the prosecution's case, I'm sure the file gets transferred from person to person. I'm sure they have everything. It doesn't look like prosecution is holding anything up. It looks like they've given them everything that they need. Most of the holdup has been on the side of Sarah Boone and the defense, and it has been because of the changes of lawyers. It always makes a delay when they change the lawyer. A lawyer needs time to get up to speed on the case. That is to protect the client in the defendant. That is not to the benefit of the judge or the system or the prosecution. That is only for the benefit of the defendant to make sure they get the best representation they can to present the best case. Okay. So a lot of the delays are for her. Okay. And because of her. All right. Several of her attorneys left due to her treatment of them. We listened to Judge Wooten repeatedly try to be patient with her and try to help her. And it wasn't until just recently that he actually told her, listen, like, you're getting in your own way here. Like, you need to work with these attorneys. The attorney does not have to call you every day. And is it unreasonable? I mean, she's actually contacting the investigator and saying, would you call my lawyer and tell him to call me? This is not normal behavior. This is not how things go. All right. So I'm wondering, since she did have a visit at the prison on January 3rd, whether that was a video call, okay, and it was with her, and she's not saying that to the judge. She's saying the last time she spoke with her attorney was in November. Now, could it have been his office that called? Maybe, and maybe they were informing her. Maybe she semantically is leaving out the details, okay, and saying, not saying she's had contact with the office. And she actually thinks that she should have a phone number that she can call every day and the lawyer will pick up. This is not the first time she's put that in a letter. Okay. I understand she's very unhappy. I understand she's very frustrated with how long. I mean, anybody would be. 4 years. Come on. 4 years. She doesn't get copies. It's been shown she doesn't get all the copies. She gets some slips on whatever. It's in the attorney's best interest just to copy her on everything. I mean, if that's what's going to make her happy, But some attorneys just don't work that way. I mean, an attorney-client relationship isn't a perfect fit every time. And sometimes, it just isn't. It's a matter of communication styles. I seriously think she just doesn't understand a lot of what is going on with her attorneys. Like, they talk to her about it and she just hears something different, because I just, don't actually understand why she is complaining about this attorney. So, right. I mean, she says she's only had one visit in 133 days. I also don't understand why a lot of the legal channels are reporting that, that one visit, like, that's just wrong, this, that, and the other thing. And yet they didn't even look at the prison record to see if she actually had more. They're just taking her word for it. Unfortunately, at this point, I do believe that perhaps Sarah is getting a bit nervous about this trial in May. And that Sarah herself is trying to throw the monkey work in there to finagle another delay or another trial or a mistrial of something. I think her lawyer is working for her. I mean, he got several things done immediately for her. He just came on. He got the money for her. He got her an expert witness. He got her the money for it. And he got her a new investigator. He did that all right away. And then he filed a continuance. And yet still, she's writing a letter of complaint about him to the judge. And this is so curious to me. It's just like, I don't know. What do you guys think? Was she drunk the day she received that call? I would use that in the defense. She was in prison. She's in prison, Choo-choo. She couldn't have been. Like, I doubt they allow alcoholic beverages. Hey, Gadio. Nice to see you. We should bring back the letters. I miss them. Listen, you know what? I'll put them all together, actually, they're all on that file. I don't even have to do anything. It'll say correspondence to the judge or received by the judge, uploaded by the judge. All of them are there. All of them are there. If it helps you out in the room in the Discord, I'll put the dates of the letters so that you know where to go to look on the list. But all the originals are there. She complained that they weren't getting uploaded fast enough, or that there were some changes that didn't get uploaded, and she brought corrected letters a couple of times, But the thing is, she definitely has a serious issue with communication with her attorneys in the legal system itself. I don't know if it's just a lack of understanding. I don't know if it's a sense of entitlement. I just know that she's getting in her own way here. I do think she did, she should have had a trial by now, but let's face it, Sarah Boone has waived her right to a speedy trial from before. And so now it'll just be whenever it's convenient for the court. And the court said no more continuances, you know. Hey, Record, thanks for the orders and thank you for feeding them. It's good to see you. I hope you're having a good day, you know. Oh, fish nerd, that's a good comment too. Hold on a second. I'm thinking this. Wait. Oh, I want this. Okay. Once the world realizes that it does revolve around her, all will be made crystal clear. Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yep. Yes, Gadio, all your fish friends are here. Juju's here, and Mousie's here. Yep. I'm glad you got your headphones powered, Boo. That's cool. You didn't miss much except for some shenanigans on Sarah Boone. Yeah. From the beginning. But yeah. Mm. She's the legal super Karen, You're not yeah, that's a good way to put it. That is a good way to put it, Rabbits. Absolutely. Absolutely. In a strange way, kudos to her for trying to do whatever she can to aid her case. Shame it's not what she should be doing. Exactly. And you know what? At this point, a lot of people are saying she should actually be representing herself. That's the only way she's going to be happy about anything. Um, but unfortunately, like I don't know if that's in her best interest. She doesn't really know the law. Um, she does seem to take some entitlement on things that should not actually be. Let me just tell you a little bit of a story. Okay. There is an incident on file over the last couple of months with the prison episode with the mail that was being distributed to her. Sarah Boone received some mail documents. Okay. Now she says she doesn't get anything from the court, or she doesn't get copies of anything. But the mail guard came by, and it was in 3 different packages. And so the process at the prison is that you don't get the original documents. Everything needs to be copied and given to you, and then the originals get shredded. I don't know why it's that way, but that's the way it is. Okay. First of all, she didn't want to wait while they had it in 3 piles and they processed it. While he was putting it through the copier to make the copy for her, one page got jammed, which the guard removed, straightened out, recopied so it was there. And she started to complain, well, now that you've done that, I don't know if everything's in order. How am I to know if you don't give me the originals that I have everything? And he's like, Sarah, you know the process. We don't give you the originals. You get the copies. Well, I don't want my originals destroyed. Well, I'm sorry, Sarah, you don't have control over that. This is the process. And so she then, while he's trying to get other people's mail ready, she's supposed to go back to her cubicle that she received her mail. She starts sorting it out right there in the middle of what he's doing. And he keeps telling her, as the guard, who is actually has authority over her, please, Sarah, you take it to your cubicle to sort it. And if you have a problem, come back to me, later. Nope, she wants to do it right there. She's like, I have to take care of this right now. Like, she was being very obstinate about it. It was like, once she gets an idea in her head, like, she can't let it go. This seems very obsessive. It just the story itself just led me to believe that there's seriously an issue in how she approaches and thinks of things. Yeah, she gets very fixated and very stuck, you know. Uh, this is not good. I mean, that's just one story. Okay. First of all, it led me to believe if you're getting legal documents in the mail, why are you writing to the judge that you're not getting it? Why are you writing to the judge that you haven't met with your lawyer or your lawyer's office when there's a video call on January 3rd? And you actually write on January 19th that you haven't heard from him since November? I seriously doubt that she did not know about this filing of papers. I seriously doubt she did not know he was going with the continuance. He may have approached it to her as not a definite. He may have laid it out as this is what's going to happen if this and this and this, like not a definite. Oh, we're definitely filing a continuance on January 16th. Like, no. He may have said, if I don't get the report back from the expert, or if I don't get a report back from the investigator, if there's nothing new on this, like he may have coached it in different language, Yeah. It's just mind-boggling to me. And I just, I'm wondering what this trial is going to be like, and I'm fascinated, and I just really hope we get a live feed because this is one I need to see her in the courtroom. I need to see her mannerisms with the attorney, with the judges, with the prosecution. And listen, this is a murder trial, and this is one woman who's going to fight like tooth and nail to get on that stand. Just like Murdoch, she's going to think she has control of the situation and she's going to solve the case. I'm going to go, even though yesterday I said, mark my words, I'm going to stand behind this, that we're going to get a retrial. And we didn't. And I was wrong. I was surprised, but I really do think she'll take the stand. I think she'll take it against attorney's advice, but I do believe she'll take the stand. I don't think she cannot. The other thing that a few YouTubers I heard mention, and it wasn't something I had considered before, and I wonder how you guys feel about it. Well, had you thought about the fact that she keeps bringing up that the media gets all this attention, the media has access to this, but nobody's paying attention to her? There's very narcissistic tendency there. I think she wants the camera on her. I think this letter to the new judge was just like, yo, pay attention to me. Like, I am the star of this show. Let me introduce you to me. I can't think of another reason why she would actually introduce herself to him in such a rude way, you know? Well, there's that. That's a good question, Wrecker, but I do not know if they do it with the personal letters too. I do know that, like, they've got email service and this, that, and the other thing, and that is all photocopied. It's not like what comes like out through, and I don't know why. I don't know why they copy everything. I do know that everything has to be pre-read. I'm not sure. Personal stuff gets edited. I mean, it's all opened ahead of time. I'm not sure the legal stuff is. There's a slightly different process for the legal correspondence. And also, if she writes legal mail on an envelope, like it goes out, like whether she can afford to pay for it or not, Mental health care is under providing. This person should have gotten help a long time ago. I'm thinking she might be borderline something, but I'm not going to diagnose anybody. I'm just saying her behavior is getting in the way of her case. It's not in her best interest. Yeah. Yeah, you guys are. I know Juju, she keeps coming up because saying she's a drunk moron. I mean, she's got 4 years to sober up, but she's still acting like a moron. I get it. I get it. But anyway, the last thing I wanted to show you, like, that I had. Do you guys want to go over the motion she wrote? She actually hand wrote a motion to the court that she says she's trying to get her lawyer to file. It's interesting. I mean, I don't know. All right, put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat if you want me to go ahead with it. and read it a little bit of it. I'll just glean over the best parts instead of reading it word for word. And a two if you just want to carry on with the conversation. For trafficking reasons, aka it is what is that? Oh, hold on. Let me put this up. For trafficking reasons, aka LSD and other drugs embedded in the paper. Not sure. I really don't know. I don't know either. I am definitely going to look into that. It was a good question, and I don't have, I always look into stuff that I don't have the answer to. There is something very satisfying about watching someone who comes off as such a toxic control freak get made an absolute fool of. Yes, there could be. Okay, so you guys want me to read it. Okay, here we go. Mm. Oh, wait, I have to turn that I'm sorry, guys. Go turn that banner off. Don't be shouting at me because it's in the way to reading. Okay. Okay. All right. So she's very professional. This is actually laid out exactly like a motion. If you go to her file, you'll see her case numbers there, the division in the Circuit Court of the 9th Judicial Circuit for Orange County, Florida. State of Florida, plaintiff versus Sarah Boone, defendant. Motion to be included in and allowed admittance to all defendants' pretrial conference and hearings. All right. Before I continue this, I just need to give you a little preamble here. That's already a right. It is understood that the attorneys for the defendant and the defendant will be at all pretrial conferences. It's actually mandatory in the pretrial orders. The second document on the list that I list before, when you look up Sarah Boone, it has from Michael Kraynick that actually what the orders are. And in there, it says that they must attend. Okay. They have to. Okay. Yeah. She says it's a draft because I think she said draft juju because she hasn't had the opportunity to have the attorney file it yet. She didn't have it written out in time, because the attorney is not going to file something like this. This is, like I said, this is already mandated that she has to include unless she actually gets permission from the court not to be there, which is why Winston Hobson sent in with the continuance a request not to appear because they had nothing to discuss, which was granted by the judge, which is why she was not transported from the prison to this hearing. And she didn't get her limelight, and she didn't get her 5 minutes. Nobody was there to talk to her anyway. They weren't going to be discussing anything. I don't think her attorney did anything wrong here. I really don't. And I know some of the legal channels would disagree, and I'm not a lawyer, but I'm just saying common sense here. It doesn't make any sense that he would just do all of this, knowing the trouble she had before, knowing she writes to the judge, knowing it's going to be a headache. He would not do anything without discussing it with her. That is just bad lawyering anyway. Okay. I don't think many lawyers would do that. It just sets you up for trouble. All right. So she actually lists the law here. She goes, comes now defendant Sarah Boone by and through her undersigned attorney, Winston E. Hobson, respectfully requests permittance to attend all my pretrial conference and hearings ongoing until the conclusion of my criminal case. She doesn't need their permission. It's required. Okay? It's her right. She should be there. She needs to tell them when she won't. Per FR Florida, Criminal Code Rule 8.2201, the following is stated to lawfully allow my inclusion, participation, and requested admittance. We all know this. Okay, the judge knows this. The trial court may hold one or more pretrial conference to consider such matters as will promote a fair and expeditious trial. The defendant must be present at any pretrial conference unless the defendant's presence is waived in writing or on the record by the defendant or by the defendant's counsel with the defendant's consent. In support, the defendant alleges as follows. Their pretrial conferences are for my personal individual criminal case. If professional YouTubers, news channels, court TV, etc., are given permission and allowed entry to the courtroom for viewing, and the judge also is allowing the conferences to be streamed live with all the court minutes uploaded to the internet and world, I, the defendant, should be included foremost. And she has been previously. Yes, unless waived. Yes, she has. I may not have regular, consistent updates or communication with my court appointed attorney, and by attending all my pretrial conferences and hearings, I will know current status, important dates, casework being completed, changes in parties, timeframes, expectations, all pertinent information I, the defendant, have a right to know, want, and need to regarding my care. All information is important, relative, and necessary to me. I am not consistently included in the certificates of service and sent copies of any documents being filed in the court regarding my case, as requested numerous times by the defendant in writing and verbally in the courtroom, neither by the judge, the court, or my attorneys. By attending my pretrial conferences, I will know what documents have been filed, need to be, and will be for and in my case. Another way I can know what is going on in my case and being worked on. She just got 3 piles of legal documents in January. I wonder what that was. Apparently, it wasn't what she was looking for. Well, 4. In complete overall support, it is my right, by law, as an individual defendant and inmate, to be included in any and all developments made in my case. It is also my right to finally achieve success in any and every aspect possible in my case by attending and being included in my pretrial conferences and hearings. Said success can and will be accomplished fairly, faster, properly. Wherefore, the defendant, Sarah Boone, respectfully asks the Honorable Court to grant my motion to be included going forward to all defendants' pretrial conferences and hearings. By Sarah Boone, and she even typed out this, she even wrote out the certificate of service. This chick is lit. That just takes the cake, right? I mean, come on. Like, come on. Now she's writing her own motions, and it's unnecessary. So that is why when they say Sarah Boone should represent herself, I say no, because there's not a motion like that exists. That's not a proper motion. That law is already there. That right is ingraded. You would have to actually file a complaint. You don't file a motion to say, oh, I'm filing a motion to make the court do what the court designates is what needs to be done. It's just not usually done that you write motions to try to school a judge on proper courtroom etiquette. I mean, I don't know. I'm amused and a little disgusted and very annoyed. I'm very annoyed. I'm very annoyed that I actually think this is some convoluted plan of Sarah Boone's to get like a civil rights organization to come in and appeal for her, because I believe Sarah Boone knows in her heart of hearts she's going to be convicted. And she's looking for an overturn and an out. And she needs to prove that she was wrongly done by the judicial system, because, you know, that's the only way a murderer with dirty hands actually gets away with anything, is it? I mean, not being a lawyer, I can be a little bit biased. I try to give you guys all of the information that I can, but it's really hard to just sit here and listen and just like read everything that Sarah Boone's putting out there. And actually, you know, I want her to have a free trial. I believe in the system. And it is wrong that she's been there for 4 years. But for her to act like the system did that to her and she didn't have anything to do with it, well, that's wrong too. You know? And mm, well, all I can say is that the system is not infallible. It's got plenty of problems. But Sarah Boone's not helping herself the way she's approaching this. I mean, I really think Winston Hobson did more in 2 months for her as far as motions and moving this forward than anyone else. And for her to write that letter, can you imagine how the attorney feels right now? He's taking a case that's 4 years old, nobody else wants, with a client that everybody else is pulling their hair out, who he heard from the judge his own exasperation in his voice after dealing with her for 4 years. He accepted it. And he's worked hard for her and for the system. But it's not good enough for Sarah. And yet, on the other hand, I do understand. She's frustrated. She's been there for 4 years. I wouldn't want to be in her shoes. But there's a time when you have to accept the fact you are in jail for something you did. Whether you intended it or not, someone's is gone from your disregard of their life. Because that's what it comes down to. You want to know why she's got murdered too? Total disregard for human life. She knew he was in the suitcase. He called out to her repeatedly for 3 minutes straight, telling her he couldn't breathe, begging her to get out. And she laughed. And she sat there. Worse than that, she changed the location and moved the suitcase. She flipped it over so you couldn't access the zipper. I think they did murder too because they can prove intent. I think the flipping of that suitcase shows she was of sound mind and knew what she was doing. But that's just a bear's opinion. I'd like to know what you guys think. Yeah, who'd have thought she considered of nobody but herself, right, Mark? I mean, yeah, total disregard, you know. Who'd have thought that she'd consider nobody but herself? Well, her ex would agree with you, and the attorney that's dealing with that civil matter. Juju said, I defend Sarah Boone, but she is a little self-righteous for someone that was involved in a murder. Yeah, I think so. I think you have to be a little more careful, you know. You think she was drunk and she didn't realize it would go the way it did, and then she panicked. Okay. Well, I'll grant you that she may have been drunk and a little altered. Well, can you explain to me why she would flip the suitcase over then? Because she made a big point of telling the officers that there was 2 fingers that he could have got out, and that the clasp was broken, but there was a paper clip there, and he could have unzipped it if he really wanted to. Well, then why did she turn it over so that couldn't happen? I get the panic in the morning when she realized he was still in the suitcase. And she did open it and drag his body out. But then she didn't call 911. She called the ex-husband first to see what she should do. Yeah, I don't know. The way she was laughing, I don't know. I think she knew. I don't know. And you know what really makes me think she knew? Look at how she's trying to control this case. You really think she was that out of control of the situation when she hasn't been out of control of the situation since? She's done nothing but get control of every moment of situation that she can since she was charged, since before she was charged. Go back to the interview. Go back to the filming, the body videos of all the officers in that first on the scene. How she cased it. How she needed to know everything that they were doing. Okay. Um, I don't know. I will say this: if she is innocent of intent, then she has other issues that are making her look very guilty in the way she processes things and reacts to things, because she's really setting herself up for a big problem here, from what I can see. And yeah, Sean, he was begging for help. So it's not like, mm, she's telling them in the interview that it was all fun and games and he was laughing. He wasn't laughing in the video at all. He didn't even say things like, "Okay, fun's over, Sarah. Let's go. Like, I'm tired of this now. Let me out." No, he begged. He pleaded. Yeah, it's rough. Hmm. It's a good one. But on that, I'm going to sign off, guys. You know, yeah, safe word doesn't mean anything like that, right? Rabbits, I get you. But anyway, that's my Boone update. If you think of any further questions, you want to talk about more. But like I said, now that we have the actual legal documents, I know some of you are really curious about it. Please go ahead, get that link, go in there, have a look around. Some things that we've been discussing will be answered. And those questions about the prior letters and all, we have covered them all. I've got plenty of videos on it in the true crime part. Let me know if you guys think it would be beneficial for me to make a new playlist just with the Sarah Boone stuff in it. Even though it's part of other upgrades, at least you would have all the videos in one place if you want to refresh yourself before the trial. The trial is coming up. For me, for other channels, I find that beneficial. I'm just not sure, you guys usually keep up on a lot. I don't know if it's going to be redundant for you, but is this why I've been fishing less? Mostly because I've been sick, Gario. Yeah, because I've been trying to get my streaming done, and there's been a live hearing yesterday. I'll be back. We'll all be back there. We'll be fishing. Don't worry. We'll be back. You know. Juju, I don't think you stand so alone. You got good points that we do agree with. I mean, I just don't agree with like her just not realizing some stuff, because of her demeanor, and the more we get to see her. And like I said, I think our eyes will be opened more during the trial when we see everything, And also, doesn't it make you wonder why she's attacking this lawyer already? There's something very calculated about this move. It's just hitting me. It's just hitting me the wrong way. And I don't know if she's overcharged, is the point where maybe she just wouldn't take the deal. Okay. And that could be a problem too, you know. But it is murder second. It's not murder first. Okay. So it's the downgraded charge on murder. Hey, Gato, I'll get in touch with you. Yeah, I will. Yeah. She's definitely manipulating, you know. She's definitely very manipulative. I agree with that. See, we agree on the case about something, Juju, right there. Yeah. And we both do agree that it's very confusing as to the charge. I'm just not willing to take it too down, far. I just we have to think of the family in the victim, and he deserves justice. Okay. And it's a balance, every single time it's a balance on making sure that Sarah's rights are protected and that the family is assured justice in the victim, and that the person pays for the crime, what. All right, I'm out, guys. You guys have a good night. I'll be back again during the week because there's more going on, but I don't know what day. I'll try to let you know the best I can on the back of the community. I'm trying to get some recording and all done. I'm so far behind because of this darn virus that I am still trying to shake. But I've got to protect my voice a little bit here and there, so no streaming every day if I can help it. So I'm kind of glad that hearing only went one day with the no nonsense Judge Toll. No nonsense, that woman. She just ruled that courtroom. She got a 3-day hearing done in a day, and she was not having it. Well, anyway, we'll talk again soon. Thank you all for being here. It was really nice to see so many of you chat and have the conversation back and forth. And like I said, like, share, and comment. And definitely, if you think of any other questions, go right ahead and put them on the back of the video. You know I answer everything. All right, everybody. Have a good night. We'll talk soon.